and his criteria on evaluation was, I'm looking for a person that's got a lot of high energy and is engaging, and he felt like those were the two characteristics for a successful salesperson. And as we started digging and diving into other characteristics that he wasn't aware of, like trust, manageability, other behaviors like that, he saw that he was actually hiring different people, and they had different behaviors, and it was starting to explain why some were being successful and some weren't. So the issue isn't, that you may or may not know, but the issue is about scalability, and do I want to pull myself out of that as a big business owner? Do I want to pull myself out of that equation so that it's duplicatable and it minimizes risk?
Awesome. Hey, look like we had somebody jump in. Patty. Let's see. Patty, the logo man. Hey, welcome. Thanks for jumping in. Oh, we got more people. This is great. Jerry Harden. So, look, I'm just going to kind of recap for everybody really quick. We're talking about hiring the right people. We're talking about growing your business. We're all in business to grow. And if you're an entrepreneur, one of the most important things is to bring the right people on board. And we're here on this show, on the FDR show, which is going to happen weekly, same bad time, same bad channel. We're going to talk about things that are important for making sure your business keeps growing, because that's what we do. That's what I do. That's what Jerry does. That's what our business partners do as well. So Jerry is a doctoral candidate for organizational development, and this is his specialty. He's actually worked with me and my clients to make sure that they bring the right people on board, because that always seems to be a big challenge. So, hey, Jerry, can you tell me a little bit about the whole process? And maybe after you talk about the process, talk about some of the experiences that you've had in either hiring the right person or not having the right person on board.
Okay, Francis, that's a great question. First is having a good process, and that is the key question. Is what are those different hiring processes? So they could be referrals. They could be I search LinkedIn, or I go on Indeed. But it really starts with a good hiring process, and that's the first place that I start with a client. And there are best practices that I share based on the industry, but definitely you want to start with a good job description, and then how do I want to interview and select candidates and qualify them. A good best practice.
So a job description. How do you know you have the right job description? Is that something you help with, or?
Yeah. So a good job description. One good source is called ONET, and that's basically it's a Department of Labor sponsored website, and it gives all the information about different occupations. So if you're a small business, and you're trying to just start off, I would start there. So, and that would give you all the requirements of the position, some of the skills and labor, some of the education requirements, and that way you're not making it up.
So can you write that down for us then? ONET. That'd be great for people to see. So Jerry was mentioning ONET as a good resource for getting job descriptions. So you make sure that you're just not one ONET online, okay? So you make sure that you're just not making up your job description. So for you people that have just joined us, thanks a lot for jumping in. We're talking about the things that matter, things that are going to keep your business sustainable. So we're speaking with Jerry Bell, owner of JBJ Business Group, a doctoral candidate in organizational development, MBA. We went to the same school for our MBAs. So cool. We actually went to the same undergrad, both West Point grads, veterans. So veteran-owned small businesses here. And we're talking about hiring the right people. So Jerry, do you have any horror stories about people that maybe you've reached out to that maybe said, you know what, I can't afford that, or I don't want to afford that? I like to say I don't want to afford that, because a lot of times business owners tend to not look at a cost as an investment. They just look at it as a cost. So you say, you know what, I don't want to spend that. I'll just go out and find my own people. And perhaps maybe they've come back to you, or you've heard what has happened because they did not use a professional service.
Yes. So yeah, and that more is a perception of value. So, and the questions you need to ask yourself as a business owner is and really quantifying what I call is turnover. So turnover is, and there's different people how to qualify that, but typically, you know, how much is the person costing me? What's the cost to train that person? What other, you know, do I offer uniform? The sourcing process. So how long does it take to find this person? The amount of time I spent and the amount of time that I could be doing something else. That's also in the turnover. So, and then not just turnover. So for another perspective is scalability. So if I, you know, in the government contracting, if I get a big award and I have to hire a bunch of people, I want to make sure I have a good process in place so I can maximize that effort. So those are things you got to think about. And traditionally, if you leverage different types of processes, you get a better yield. And you know, I just shared a link to a best process guide that I have, and it goes into the details of that. But yeah, when you quantify turnover, being able to be scalable, the amount of time, you know, an impact on sales revenue. So one client of mine is a large medical device company, and if his sales reps are changing continuously, that's not good for his business because he's trying to build a relationship with these surgeons, and it sends the wrong message to them. So those are different ways to quantify that. And honestly, if there is no return on investment as a business owner, it kind of helps you make your decision. So when I engage with my clients and I'm able to qualify that turnover and the cost, and if that cost is not less than the solution that I'm offering that they'll need to charge me, then it doesn't make business sense from that perspective.
Man, you really bring up a lot of good points, and I want to talk about some of my personal experiences in actually using your services, because it was not something that I had actually thought about until I was ready to expand. But I kind of want to take a step back into one thing that I think is so important for small business owners. And you talked about the time spent trying to find somebody or hire somebody. And I don't think a lot of, especially small business owners, think of opportunity cost.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And a lot of times, even when it comes down to your pricing, you're figuring out, hey, you know what, I'm just going to charge a person X amount of dollars for the service, but you don't realize how much is your time actually worth per hour. And that is so important in figuring out what your bottom line pricing is going to be. And that happens to be one of the biggest mistakes made by entrepreneurs. I know I made it. And I'm going to share with you a little bit later that I did have an opportunity to sit down with a multi-million-dollar CEO just yesterday over lunch, and he shared some very, very poignant things with me about running a business. So opportunity cost. We think of it as being a cost rather than an investment. And I do have to say that when I approached you about bringing some new people on board, I'd like you to talk about your process too. I remember them telling me that they did get your interview and et cetera. And they're like, wow, this was pretty involved, man. You know, but the thing is, I felt so much more comfortable when I was able to present them with the interview questions. And then it was actually a really good assessment of whether they were going to be a good fit for my organization or not. So I know I covered a couple things, but I would like to talk to you about your process and what makes your process so valuable to a business looking to bring the right people on board.
Okay, great. No, thank you. And I appreciate that. So big businesses get it. They understand turnover and they leverage resources that get them information about the candidates. There's studies that say, when a candidate's interviewing, they'll tell you what you want to hear. So you need a process in place that can really help you discover what's important, so you can make a decision and a decision that you're empowered with information. So some of those tools. First, you need to know what right looks like. So, and when I say that, one of the processes we use is we compare and figure out what your top performers are. And then from that perspective, a top performer could be regional. So you might have a top performer that has different characteristics in a rural area where they're engaging with clients than in an urban area. So that's another area that you need to be aware of, segmenting. So that's another concept that sometimes owners struggle with, is they don't really quantify that. There's no measure in place now. So I'll ask, who are your top performers? And sometimes they can't answer that. And how do I qualify a top performer? Is that based on revenue? Is that based on what key performance indicators? So those are things you need to think about when you're identifying what does right look like. Another tool that we use is called a job analysis survey, and that helps really describe that ideal candidate. So maybe that top performer, they're doing well, but there's some things that you as the owner or the hiring manager would like to see them do better at. So that's a way that we can even modify that model. So once we have that model, how do we measure and how do we make sure that the candidates are who we're looking for? So we recommend using it's a behavior-based assessment, and it's virtual, and the candidates can go online and complete that. You can get information about them, and then one of the reports that we give you is interview guide, which we can really provide some behavioral questions so you can verify what the candidate is doing. And then once you have that person, you might find that if you have a bunch of models, you might find that this candidate's not the best fit for this position, but he's a rock star for a different position. So now you're able to really minimize the sourcing time and identify clients or candidates, and it helps you enhance your succession planning. And then once you have this person, we give you a coaching guide so you can have conversations with that candidate as part of the onboarding process. And also, you can use that coaching guide on existing employees to enhance performance. So you're talking about opportunity costs and current employees, and how can we make them better so that we can drive performance, which will help drive revenue. So those are different options that you can exercise.
I really like that guide. What do you say, the interview guide? I really like that because as a new business owner, you really don't know what types of questions to ask.
Right.
And I believe that you kind of gave insight on why you were asking these questions, because of certain things that were picked up in the assessment of the potential candidate. So, I mean, that really made the whole process really easy. I tell you, everybody here, two things. First of all, you have to go to his website. Lots of great material to read. jbj-businessgroup.com. I'm sure Jerry will be kind enough to retype it in there for you. So lots of great white papers, things to download. And secondly, one of the things, the blasts I hate the most are the ones where people do not interact with the audience at all. I mean, I went into a blab and they were just yapping and talking and never said, hey, how you doing? Welcome into our room. And I was asking questions and nobody responded to me. I unfollowed and left that room. I mean, the whole social is supposed to be, social media is supposed to be social, right? So let's keep it social. Anybody have any questions, please type them, a Q in the chat, and we'll answer your questions. You know, about 9:30, I think we're going to stop talking about this subject, just have a roundtable discussion on growing your business in general. So please ask us any questions. Jerry and I are, we love to soak up knowledge. We always try to surround ourselves with those that are smarter than us, because that's how you grow. There's always somebody that's probably done something better than what you've done. And that is key to growing your business. So please interact with us. It looks like my man, Thomas J. Clark has been on here for a while. L. Clark, I'm sorry, Thomas L. Clark of Charlotte Social 360 has been on here for a while. I really appreciate it. Thank you. I love to talk. I guess you can tell that. My background was in sales and marketing for 20 years. So anyway, Jerry, I do have to say I really liked your process, and this brings something else very important that I'd like to talk about in line with what you're doing. Please, if you are running your own business, strategic partnerships are so important. Number one, you'll give yourself a bigger footprint out there in the marketplace than what you currently have. Secondly, you're going to be able to offer a skill set to your potential clients that you probably cannot offer otherwise. That's why we both have made it very a key point of partnering with those people that can help us provide more value to our clients, which is one reason why I do work so closely with Jerry. Because as you know, when you are interviewing these clients and doing a needs analysis, some other things are going to come up that they need that you're not able to provide. So you got to make sure that you have strategic partnerships. Matter of fact, I think we're going to have a blab on strategic partnerships and how do you make them work, you know? So, Jerry, I'd like to talk, I asked if you can give me an example of maybe a success story in hiring the right people that you've experienced with an organization.
Yes. Oh, great. So I have a company, construction, and they hire a lot of subcontractors, and really the key to success in that type of business is trust. You know, you need to be able to trust that they're gonna give you information, they're gonna tell you what's right and wrong, and they're gonna do the things, they're gonna complete the work according to scope. So his challenge was delivering projects on time, and the quality of his people was an issue. So we use a very inexpensive tool to really qualify his subcontractors. And what we were finding is that some of those people he was partnering with were not being very trustworthy. So we were able to not create a relationship with personnel because we had that information. So he liked it because he was able to measure someone's reliability, their accountability, and then he was able to bring on better qualified subcontractors who he could really do work with and minimize his project management timelines.
Man, that's a great example. Now, is what you do, you know? Hey, got a question. So Jerry, what does the investment in your services cost, and what value have your small business clients seen from hiring you? Can you discuss a few more examples? Awesome. Thanks for that question.
Great. No, hey, Charlotte. So right now I'm working with a medical device company, and we found that his sales people, they were turning over. So he had a 40% turnover, which cost him. He was hiring these guys at $120,000 each, And we agreed that 25% of that was turnover. We're talking at least $30,000 each time that he had to go find another person, not even including the opportunity cost of sales revenue, because everyone was not a top performer. So I provided a solution that cost him $5,000 to help him fix a $30,000 problem. So for him, that was a no-brainer. It took a couple of weeks to implement, onboard, do the training, and right now he has started hiring. Very excited, and he's also using those tools on his current salespeople, so he can increase performance from them. So another example, I'm working with a smaller client who just needs to measure reliability, accountability. He's looking at hiring some interns and just wants to make sure he can trust them. So I provided a package for him. It's a $30 solution where he can provide that assessment to those individuals. It gives him an interview guide so he can verify the information, and he can make sure that when he brings on these interns, that they're people that he can trust. They're reliable. They'll show up to work on time. They'll be hardworking, and there's no issue with substance abuse. So.
$30? Oh man, no. That's way too much, man. That's like 5 Starbucks. No way. I can't give up my Starbucks for, to bring the right person on board.
Right. So the question is, what are some of the frustrations that come when you have the wrong people on board, and how do you deal with that? So that is the question that a lot of business owners ask. What kind of people issues are you having?
You know what, Jerry? I actually have a horror story. And my horror story comes from not following with one particular candidate through the whole process. And actually, you had started me on that process. So I kind of jumped the gun, and I was so excited about bringing Bob Lockwood. Oh, man, this is getting good. I interviewed, I went through all the questions, and I actually felt as if, and you were saying, you know what, Frank, we should actually probably put something on Indeed and put it out there and get a whole pool of potential candidates before we decide to bring somebody on board. But I was so hung up on just this one candidate, and I guess it was, another fault of an entrepreneur. I had a soft place in my heart, and I'm like, oh, hey, I really want to help him out, and blah, blah, blah. So I kind of skipped through the whole process and basically ended up paying this client, paying this person for almost doing nothing. And it got to the point where we just had to part ways. So had I followed through the entire process with Jerry, I would not be looking for a replacement at this time. Right. So I really think that what you were telling me, you got to stick to it. You just had to stick to the process and save yourself a lot of headaches. So
right.
That would be my horror story in not doing it the right way. Matter of fact, Jerry, I'm talking to somebody at 11 o'clock today, and I'm probably going to have to give you a call and run it through you.
Okay.
On the outside, and here's another point. On the outside, people may look like the great candidate, but, when you dig a little bit deeper, they might not be. To me, on the outside, the person I'm speaking to looks like perfect. They're very popular, well-known, have established their own brand, done a lot of great things, and I'm excited. However, I'm going to play ignorance here and claim ignorance and say, you know what? You never know when you're being more subjective than objective, even when hiring somebody. Right. So that brings another question, Jerry. Do you really think that the objective approach is much better than the subjectivity, or does subjectivity play into that hiring process as well?
So that's a great question. You know, I do share that best practice guide, and that's free, and it provides recommended ways to track candidates, gives you some tools and techniques. So yes, there are times where it is hard to be subjective or objective depending on the situation. It might be driven by client requirements, where you have a less selection. And so the point I want to drive is if you have the right information about the candidate that you hire, then you can manage them, right? And there's some transparency there. So maybe he's not a totally fit for the project position, but you can have some conversations on how do we work around some of the deficiencies, because we just gotta hire this person. But just having that conversation or bringing on additional support will assist that, so that's empowering. Or on vice versa, if you have the perfect candidate, having those conversations so that they know what behaviors they need to leverage. So have you ever had those types of conversations with your employees? Hey, this is why you are valued to our company. These are the behaviors that we feel that you need to continue to showcase so that you can continue to be successful. And these are opportunities that maybe we need to have a conversation on to make some adjustments or to get additional training so that we can drive different behaviors to get different outcomes, which will impact revenue.
Awesome. Hey, thanks a lot for that. And you know what, can you put the link to that hiring guide again for people that have just come into the room? So, you know what, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I'm pretty sure that Jerry and I are going to be revisiting this subject later on. This is something that we're planning to do every Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, the FDR show. And I think we're probably going to have to change it to the FDR JBJ show on Fridays. But we are really passionate about helping businesses grow. We actually, if you happen to be a veteran, I actually think that Jerry and I may even talk about doing a show for veterans. But if you happen to be a veteran, please take a look at a very nice program called the Bunker Labs, thebunkerlabs.org. We're actually a part of the Bunker Labs, which is for veteran-owned businesses and veteran-owned entrepreneurs. Tons of mentors there. They actually have a very nice free is good, free program called Bunker in a Box. Bunker in a Box. Let me write that down. Bunker in, man, I can't type today. Bunker in a Box, which is, hey, oh man, Sam, I talk about you all the time. So good to see you. Man, it's been so long. Wow. We have to catch up. Yeah, I do. I was speaking to, well, I'll talk to you about that later. But I always bring you up. So you actually, I guess, made a big impression on me. So, yeah, it has been way too long. We will. Let's schedule one really soon. Thanks. Thanks. Man, you're just great. So we're having an offline conversation here. So anyway, the Bunker in a Box actually is a very nice program for entrepreneurs that will kind of walk you through a lot of different steps. It's totally interactive, and it's sort of like a competition. So the more active you are and the more modules that you go through, you can see how you rank in relation to everybody else that's involved in the program. So Bunker in a Box. So Jerry and I'm going to open up a seat very soon here so people can jump in. Jerry and I are both part of the Bunker Labs. We go every Thursday. So that's the first thing, commitment. It is a commitment. And the reason we go every Thursday is because we want to be surrounded by people that have owned businesses, sold businesses for millions of dollars. That can kind of walk us through the whole process of how to keep our business sustainable and also scalable. We have brainstorming, we have TED sessions. Every week somebody gets to pitch their business. So then we do constructive criticism on how they can pitch their businesses and better prepare their pitch deck for venture capitalists, things like that. So up to 5 years ago, actually 3 years ago, I had no idea what any of this stuff meant, any of it. I just knew I wanted to start a business. So I went out and I did it. But I realize now from surrounding myself with very, very intelligent people that there are a lot of things that I could do better. And I can say that probably, and Jerry, you can attest to this, my business from here to here, as far as knowledge and processes, simply because of surrounding myself with great people. So check out the Bunker Lab, check out the Bunker in a Box. Hey, I'm going to open up the floor. Let's just have a roundtable discussion, maybe for another 20 minutes. Let's talk about growing your business. I'd like to hear some of your biggest concerns. I'll share with you. There, I just opened up the seat. Maybe I'll be able to give you an answer. Maybe Jerry will be able to give you an answer. If not, we'll definitely search for one for you and get back to you. So Jerry, let's be real here. I don't like to sugarcoat things, man. You know, I think we form a military. We just don't sugarcoat things. We tell it how it is. You know, there's no sensitive feelings here, no feelings getting hurt, all that stuff. All right, let's just deal with business straight up. So as an entrepreneur, what has been your biggest challenge?
So I would say just being military and being humble. And as a business owner, you need to be you need to show value. And how does that impact the revenue? And also how does that improve or help change something that's a pain? So that's been my challenge, just being consistent. There is a lot to do as an owner. What I found is partner with companies like yourself. It helps me not have to focus on things where I'm not an expert, right? And then I'm not having to do everything in my business. And you can get creative on how you partner with other companies. That there are synergies. And part of that is just really building trust and value. So same things that I'm trying to do with clients. I'm also exercising that with partnerships, and that's helping my business grow.
Those are some great points. You probably stole some of my thunder there, but that's all good. You know, I'll talk about very similar, man. I think maybe next week we can touch on this subject about how to form the right strategic partnerships. I actually have one of my strategic partners jumped online, Bob Lockwood. And he's a totally different skill set. Dude does videography, photography, works with a lot of businesses as far as commercials and things like that. Owns a company called Full Armor Studios here in Illinois. The thing about Bob, too, is Bob is so well connected. So a lot of times there are some people that I had actually no access to that I needed access to in order to grow my business or reach a totally different target market. So we'll talk. You know what? Let's talk about that next week. I'm going to put that on the schedule for next week, how to form the right strategic partnership. Because sometimes you may not think that the strategic partnership is actually helpful for you, but it may be. I'll give you an example. I'm working with a couple clients, one that does moving labor and another one that does cleaning. I was like, hey, you know what? I think that might be a good strategic partnership. They're like, I don't see it. I don't see why. And I'm thinking, well, if you want to reach out to commercial cleaning, and here's somebody that deals mostly with distributors who have what? Commercial buildings. Hello, that may be a good strategic partnership for you. So, you know, you really got to step out and think outside the box with this. We're going to cover that next week because there's some finesse in choosing the right strategic partner. You know, Jerry, I'll say that my biggest challenge as a business owner is twofold. I have a soft heart. I love to help out entrepreneurs. I just do. Unfortunately, entrepreneurs are very passionate and almost to a fault of saying, you know what, I don't want to let anybody else inside because I know what I'm doing. And also, what that means is now when you bring somebody that has outside expertise, it could cut into your profit margins, but in the long run, it's going to end up being profitable for your company.
Yes.
Unfortunately, everybody needs to make a living and for the company to make money. So a lot of entrepreneurs just do not have the capital to spend on ancillary or supportive services. They just don't. And early on, I think that was a fault of mine. Now, the flip side is, and Jerry, you and I have talked about this, the flip side is, and maybe we'll talk about some other strategies, is actually even positioning yourself for equity in that company that you're helping because of your intellectual capital that you can bring into that business. It's funny, I talk to a lot of people, you're like, oh man, I never thought about doing that before. And I'm like, well, hey, your time is money. Your brain is money. You have to keep your doors open. And you're helping somebody else keep their doors open, and you have an invested interest in seeing their company grow. So really, it makes total sense. So that was my shortcoming. The other thing, too, is my problem was my business had such a wide skill set that we really needed to niche ourselves into a particular market. And even though you feel as if your company can do it, it was really brought to my attention that people love niches. They love specialists. They want to work with a specialist. So a lot of times entrepreneurs tend to get spread too thin in what they're doing. They want to provide, the total solution. And part of that is greed. I need to keep my doors open. I want to keep all the money and all the project to myself. So letting go of some potential business and projects, that's tough. That's tough as an entrepreneur and niching yourself. But as they say, what did we hear the other day? Riches are in the niches.
Right. And I don't mind making 30% of 40 million than or 100% of 100,000. Exactly.
So that's been my biggest issue as an entrepreneur. Hey, anybody else out there have any questions? Would like to jump in the hot seat and come on, let's just have a roundtable discussion. Don't be shy. See, I'm not shy. I'm not perfectly shaven, but cool. Bob Lockwood, creative producer. Thanks, Bob, for jumping in.
Nice to meet you, Bob.
So, Bob, this is interesting. Bob is in a totally different demographic as far as businesses go, and I think he's in one that happens to be very challenging. As a photographer, videographer, creative producer, I myself was in photography for about 8 years. That's a tough business because people look at it as more of a luxury than a needed item. So Bob has been actually able to keep his doors open and has really become an expert connector and has met probably some of the most influential people in our area in central Illinois. So Bob, hey, thanks for jumping on. What do you got to share about being an entrepreneur in your business?
Well, thank you for having me. And, here's the thing. You talked about challenges, and I'll tell you early on, I made the mistake of getting my hustle on and not just spreading myself too thin and diversifying, but diversifying in the wrong direction. So I would do different programs like Legal Shield or Ambed, and along with the regular photography stuff. And I think that was a fault of mine as we talk about challenges. And I think it's so easy to say, oh, I'll just try this and I'll try this, instead of actually staying the course. And then at one point I went to work for somebody in my field, and it only lasted less than a year, and I got outsourced to China, and that was pretty rough. And I was like, how does this happen? So I learned quickly on to kind of just start strategic partnerships and, building products and brands that are in my lane. And I think that's the thing where I think entrepreneurs kind of say, well, I need to do this and this and this to make money. But yes, it is about sometimes the money, but you have to build brands. We started a creative group called Your Creative Angle. It's for other photographers and graphic designers and writers and stuff. And that helps build the brand, of connecting people. So people just don't connect anymore.
Hey, Bob, why don't you share the URL if you have it for Your Creative Angle?
Yeah.
Here's another thing, and it might be nice for you to jump on next week when we talk about strategic partnerships. Your Creative Angle. Okay, so I'm a digital marketing business strategist. People are like, okay, what's that? Well, you want to know what that is? Look at Southwest Airlines. Okay, Southwest Airlines has social as the hub of their operations. And I truly believe that social media digital marketing should not be a totally separate entity. It should be tightly intertwined with your financial, your organizational, your operational components of your business. It just has to be. If it's not connected, how are you going to make money? How do we know what to do to make your business grow? Okay, so that's what a digital marketing business strategist does. So I attended one of Bob's events, and it was amazing because there were so many different creatives out there that were potential strategic partners for myself. And not only that, I knew of people that could be good strategic partners for a lot of people in that group. And a nice thing too is if you connect the right people, that can actually tend to lead to more business. And Bob being so involved in so many of the biggest venues in the city, connected to the mayor, a lot of other things like that. He was able to bring all these people together that probably never would have met before and see how there could be synergistic relationships. So I tell you, in my area, you mentioned Bob Lockwood, almost everybody knows who he is. I mean, I go out to eat, the waitress serves me and say, hey, Bob Lockwood? Oh, Bob, yeah. So it might get
me blush. I mean, and I already sweat as it is as a fat guy. Here's the thing. Here's something I wish I learned sooner as well. I read one book early on called The E-Myth, and then I never read after that. And now I'm starting to read and actually listen to more books on tape. And I just said tape, and I actually use my iPhone. So look at
tape.
There, But I'm listening to this book called 10X. It's by Grant Cardone. And he talks about, you want to dominate your sector, whatever that sector is. And he goes, that's not a very popular belief. Everybody wants to fly under the radar, just be slick and sly and cool. But he's like, no, you got to be everywhere, almost omnipresent. And, they have to associate you with that thing, such as like Apple. You associate Apple with music and iPods. At one time, you associated IBM with computers. Xerox, you used to just make Xeroxes. You could have been on a different machine, but you just make a Xerox. Somebody would say, hey, you got Kleenex? It's not a Kleenex. It's probably the generic brand from Jewel. And that's the thing. I mean, right? I mean, but you have to be so dominating your market, and we're afraid to do that, I think. And I'm learning, to do that. And I've kind of, my strategy has been through events. Because we created other events. I'm trying to share a link, and I don't know how to. I'm not technical savvy, but that's why I started doing all these different events, more creative events, being in my lane. And I can speak with authority because I've done it. That's my angle.
So, man. Okay, so let's see. Dominate your market. So while you're talking, I'm just getting all these ideas for potential topics, future topics. So I'm thinking about one maybe. And let's take a vote, everybody that's in the room. What would you like to hear about next? Differentiation in the marketplace. Okay, in the marketplace.
Shameless plug for Dunkin' Donuts right there.
Aren't you supposed to like gray that out or blur that out?
I'm working on that, right? You know, no, I'm happy.
No, I'm kidding.
I'm happy to share my friends and family. Like if I like Dunkin' Donuts, you know, I'm gonna promote them.
So okay, so strategic partnerships, right?
Yeah.
Hey, if anybody out there listening has some ideas, please send them to us. Ask some questions. Like I was saying earlier, I hate blabs where people just don't get involved with their audience. I mean, a great guy, I had an opportunity to sit down with him yesterday, Brian Walker, CEO of AE Marketing. Super successful, end-over-end profitability for 5 years, quarter after quarter. He wrote an article on LinkedIn called, "When Did Everybody Become an Expert?" You know, so I'm not sitting here, Jerry's not sitting here, Bob's not sitting here to present ourselves as experts. We're here to learn just like you are. So please ask us any questions. Strategic partnerships, cool. Differentiating margins, pricing, hey, that's another good one, right? How to price your services. So we have one vote for strategic partnerships. Actually, I'd like to talk about all of those.
Yeah, sounds like you're
we're talking about next week.
Your show is this for just for next week, or you're putting together your theme for the year?
Oh, this is going to be every week, man. We're going to keep this going.
Awesome.
You know, I have a saying, and funny, I picked this up from a hip hop song. If you don't scream that you're the best, who the hell else will? Or say that you're the best until the day is proven otherwise. I like those. So you can learn something from hip hop. That's what I learned. But then again, like I said, you know, you got to shout it from the mountaintop. You got to get yourself out there. You got to get exposed, because who knows what you do and who knows how good you are at what you do unless you're online talking about it.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. I agree. But I think a lot of specifically creatives, that's all I can really talk about is photographers and video producers and graphic designers, because that's who I hang with, right? But they tend to be shy. They don't want to get out there. And I think some entrepreneurs don't want to get out there and just, you know, put themselves out there and say, oh, well, you know what, if I fail, that's another thing. What if I fail? Well, what if you don't? And I think that's the other thing that people don't really think about. And, you know, I look at failure as just a way to correct a mistake, you know. So
yeah, you know, it's funny, man, because I try to get involved in Periscope. I mean, I like Periscope. I just like to talk to other people. I just don't like to talk to a screen. I know it's probably very helpful for my business. But I didn't like it because, you know, I was a little shy about getting on screen and just talking to a screen to people. So Blab has actually helped me to get a lot more comfortable in having conversations, and hopefully maybe more people will connect with me and realize, hey, Frank has a little bit of knowledge to share, something, which is why I'm glad that Jerry's on here. I'm glad that you're on here, Bob, because I think we all three offer different perspectives as an entrepreneur and growing your business. So, hey, Rad, I don't know how to say it, Toti, I say that. I'm gonna let you jump on. Hey, if you're not talking, if you could just, okay, so maybe I should lock this seat. If anybody else wants to get in, just let me know. Hey, thanks for following me, man.
Do you want me to?
Hey, Jerry posted something else. Fake it till you make it. Amy Cuddy, your body, your body language.
It goes right into what you're saying. You know, you gotta. There's a lot of neuroscience behind projecting what you want to do and having that presence.
Yeah, so you're right. I mean, we're gonna do this every week. Matter of fact, I hold a blab on Mondays. I gotta look at my schedule. It's in my Chrome browser. I have like 2 browsers, tons of things open to work, but I can't remember when I have them. But I think I have a blab like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday on different subjects. But every Friday, 9 a.m. Central, we're going to try to bring in entrepreneurs, business owners, and just talk about helping to make your business successful. We're all in this together.
Yep.
Okay. So please join us every week.
I'll
All
let
right,
somebody else.
somebody's.
I'll let somebody else jump in. Okay.
You sure?
Or I mean, if you want me to hang out, I mean, I'm whatever. I serve at the
hang
pleasure
out,
of you
man.
guys. Whatever you guys want. Oh, there we go.
No, I'll open up another seat.
Okay.
But I'm getting an echo on your computer. You might
On
want
my
to. Yeah,
computer?
it's that.
Hold on.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to give.
Hi. Can you tell me about the ground
my website.
business?
If anybody wants to check it out, wants to follow me on, subscribe to my newsletter. I do have an online publication. If you'd like to contribute to it, Jerry, I'd like you to start contributing to my online publication, which deals with, I say, it's all the most relevant news in one place. Talk about marketing, infographics, business,
I would like to share you in ground business.
Hey, welcome, man. Okay, so I missed your question.
Oh yeah, I think he wants to know
Hey,
about
Jerry, did you pick that
growing
up?
business.
All right. Okay. Hey, look, Radoni, Toti, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but hey, join us every Friday. Every Friday, 9 a.m. sharp, Central Time. We're going to be talking about a bunch of different things to grow your business. Now, I'm going to, and Jerry, maybe you can jump in and confirm this, but hey, don't think that Jerry and I are like throwing out just original content here. As I was saying earlier, we are part of a very robust brain trust for veteran-owned businesses that's held in one of the most premier tech startup, whatever, in America called 1871. We're down there every Thursday, and we are getting some of the best business tips from people that have ran successful businesses, sold them for millions of dollars. So we're all here to learn. And some of the things that we pick up during that brain trust, we're going to bring back here and share with you so that we can help your businesses become successful. So, hey, I'm going to try you one more time, man. If this doesn't work, then we may just have to lock the seat, okay? So, hey, man, you know what? Charlotte Social 360, I think it's Thomas, right? Yeah, I'd really like you to, so managed services, he's been in here for a while, and I really appreciate you hanging out with us. Social media marketing, reputation management, monitoring agency for brands and businesses. So that's awesome. Hey,
how are
there
you,
you go, man. Thomas Clark.
Can you hear me?
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. So it looks like, hey, thanks for jumping in. Jerry has got to go. He's got a meeting to get to. But he'll be back here next Friday. Same bad channel, same bad time. We're probably going to talk about strategic partnerships, okay? So anybody online, please join us next week, 9 a.m. Central for the FDR and JBJ show.
Nice meeting you, Joe.
Talk about strategic partnerships and growing your business, okay? Hey, Jerry, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thomas,
I did have a question,
jumping
Jerry,
in.
real quick. I am looking this year to hire a couple of very specialized virtual assistants and one sales executive. So you kind of hit a note in you and Franklin's discussion a little earlier. We probably should talk a little more offline, but I'd like to talk about what your services cost and maybe some approaches, because I've been in sales for a long time, but you guys gave me some ideas today just to look at it a little bit from a different perspective in this hire, because I think it's very important and pretty strategic for my small agency.
Yes. And it is about leveraging big business capabilities at a small business price. So, let's talk, Thomas. If you don't mind, you can download that hiring guide. That'd be a good one to start. It's free. So those are strategies that you can implement now, and that won't cost you anything.
Is that me? Should I refresh? Or I hear a lot of something in the background. Let me try. I'm gonna come back in. It might be me.
What happened? I think it
is
is.
that what you're doing? I was thinking, wow,
Yeah.
that is
That could be me
loud.
typing. I'm typing, so man, is it that loud?
Yeah, you
Wow.
do. That thing, yeah, it sounded like
I need to be. I guess I got
it
a
sounded
good
like a
mic.
plumber
Then.
was working.
I got a good computer.
You got those strong veteran hands, right?
Okay. Sorry about that.
So anyway,
That's it,
well,
man.
my name is
That's
Thomas
it.
Clark, and I think you saw me over the side. This is a great, engaging discussion.
I'm glad we.
Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I guess what we do is we basically save businesses time, and we pretty much manage their social media presence for them. You know, we can do one network. We can just manage your Twitter. We can manage your whole social media presence, do campaigns. I focus primarily on the reputation side first, because I think a lot of businesses are not as cognizant of their online reputation as much. So I really advise and consult with clients. First of all, let's clean that up. Like if you're a restaurant, you got some bad reviews out there or whatever, because a lot of people just don't realize what's even out there, right? What the online world's saying about them, right? And it's so easy today for people. Fortunately, the good news doesn't fly as well as the bad news. The bad news typically goes viral for some reason. But that's what we do. We're headquartered here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I basically come from a corporate sales background of about 30 years, B2B at IBM as well as Hewlett Packard. So I like to think I understand the sales psyche in the game pretty well, but you're always constantly learning. It's amazing. You can always learn something new every day. So anyway, Franklin, you are really typing, man. That typing is just loud, dude.
Man, I'm trying to be light. I'm
just being real. I'm just telling you. I don't know if anybody else is telling you this.
Wow. Okay, so
Can I
I'm gonna
mention something, Thomas? You
No,
talk
I'm
about
glad
the
you
social
are.
media, and there was about a year I went like digitally dark, where I just didn't care.
Right.
Just like they'll find out if they're interested in me, they'll find out. Now I've changed my thinking because I've just come to the realization people don't care at all about you, and if you don't give them a reason to care, they're not going to find you. And so now I've started to try to step up my social media game and post stuff. Because I got so sick of people saying, "Oh, I'm having a 3-egg omelet," or I'm doing this, or if I saw one more crummy food photography, I think I might have gouged my eyes out with a plastic spoon. And so I was just like, oh, this is just a time sucker. But now I've just tried to leverage it as hey, here's what I'm working on. Here's
Well, any business, and certainly a creative business like yours, and I think Jerry talked about this as well, because photography is something that people don't absolutely need, right? I mean, it's imperative to me that you have some sort of online presence with your guerrilla marketing, as I call it, as well. I mean, and word of mouth and things of that nature, because people, I mean, we tend to all, at least I am, I think we all have a certain amount of visual. We like visual, right? And I think for a business like yourself, you have to have that presence. And I'd like to talk to you further if you're interested, but or even just offline to have a conversation. I mean, Pinterest and Instagram come to mind just immediately for you. I mean, just because you got such a visually oriented type of business and a very unique business from that perspective.
Well, we did leverage Instagram for a while, and you're absolutely right. I mean, photography is kind of like the, oh, I could do that, type, scenario. Yeah. But I have a client of mine that sells stuff on Amazon. And he hired me, he contracted me, and we did this thing called lifestyle photography. And what lifestyle photography is we got ourselves a model. So in this case, it was he was selling Army trinkets for kids, and we found ourselves a model, and the kid posed, and his profits went up by triple and are still going strong because they see the person there, and they're connecting. They're like, oh, I want to be like that. I could do that. And that's why, like,
Right.
you know, people that sell stuff on Amazon, product shots, they kind of sell. But if you have an actual person where you can connect, I could do that. I could be like that. You'll sell even more. And that's why, I mean, most things they use people. Unless it's food. A lot of times they'll just use the food. But we did leverage Instagram for a while because we did a whole campaign on 100% mobile where I leveraged just my iPhone and I showed that it's not the camera, it's the photographer. And if you know your equipment and gear and know how to work with it, you can take amazing looking photos. You just have to know the limitations and how to push them.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
I want to acknowledge Frank. I did see his comment. We can talk after this or whatever time you're available today. But to you, Bob, well, first of all, you got to think about this from the perspective. People buy from people, right? Everybody has a story.
Yeah.
And when you're online, what better way to tell your story, right? I mean, it's something, it's something about that visual. And I think, to me, that's one of the beauties of Blab. It's a bunch of live streaming technologies out there, but Blab is one of those things where you can't hide what's going on, right? I mean, because I was on a Blab yesterday, and I have one every Wednesday with a counterpart of mine, where we're really both elated about Twitter. Twitter network and for social media. So we do this Blab on Twitter. But yesterday, what was interesting, my grandson was here, and he decided he was going to join the Blab right in the middle of our Blab. So it was just kind of interesting. Everybody got to meet Jordan, and he wanted to blab on my Blab about Twitter. I said, well, Jordan, you don't know anything about Twitter. He says, but I know you do, so I'm going to be on with you.
I love it. That's awesome.
It was funny, but so I guess what I'm saying, everyone was happy about it because they get to see a younger person. But I mean, back to you. The photography is just a great one, I think, for social media as far as your other online strategy, just in general. And I tell people, make sure your online presence is part of your overall strategy. So, I mean, it doesn't replace it. And I always coach people to also know that, you still have control of your destiny and make postings and things of that nature, even we're managing for you. So it's a joint partnership. And as we go on I call it your online journey.
I like that you mentioned Instagram too. It's funny because you mentioned Instagram, you mentioned Twitter, Pinterest.
Yes.
What was really shocking to me is, I don't know how important cloud score is, but I know people do refer to your cloud score to see, okay, how influential are you online. When I was looking at the measuring what has contributed the most to my cloud score, it actually has been Instagram. And I think because a lot of people like the immediateness, the behind the scenes look at what you're doing. One thing I do is every Thursday when I'm going downtown to Chicago for this brain trust is I give people an actual look from beginning to end. Hey, I'm about to get on the train. I'm on the train. This is what I'm thinking about. Hey, I'm entering downtown Chicago. Here I am entering the brain trust. Oh, by the way, here's a CEO that's speaking to us today. Hey, I'm on my way back. This is what I've learned. And I tell you what, I've made some amazing connections through Instagram. Probably it's quickly catching up to the amount of connections I've made through Twitter. So they do say that actually spending on video is going to go up this year in 2016. That's going to be the main platform for digital marketing this year.
I tell people when I'm consulting with clients, and I do a lot in my agency. We're small. We're about 6 people. And I also have some subcontractors as well for certain things. But I always tell people the big 3 are Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I mean, you got to consider those 3. And they're not all 3 always right for everybody, all 3. You got to focus and find out where your audience is, right? And So I always tell we do a lot of social listening, and we got to find out, because I mean, like some people, it's all about Instagram, and they don't even get on Facebook. But I mean, I would say Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube are the three you have to consider. I think for you, Franklin, just from what you just said, Periscope might be something you may want to consider, because it sounds like you do a lot of impromptu. I'm here now. I want to hear live. I want to show you what's going on live.
Right.
Periscope might be a very good platform for you from that perspective. So just something to consider.
Well, okay, so maybe you can either stroke my ego or help me out a little bit here. This became my.
I'll do both, by the way.
Thanks, I need it. Hey Jerry, thanks for jumping on. I know you got to go, but we're gonna do this every Thursday. So I'll see you every Friday. I'll see you next Friday, 9 a.m.
Yes, thank you, everyone. I appreciate it.
Super nice meeting you.
You too, Bob.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Bob.
Take care, Bob. Take care, Jerry.
Thank you.
So what happened with me in Periscope was I did get a little disconcerted because I found that I was trying to talk about important things that help businesses grow. So to give you an example, people look at digital marketing. You have social media, branding, all of that. We kind of take a very different approach. A lot of my clients are looking at how can we work digital marketing into their overall business operations for profitability. So when we approach it, we look at their business operations, their efficiencies. Jerry has helped my clients with hiring the right people, because we look at a lot of those inefficiencies as bleeding money out of their company. Okay.
Sure.
And the last thing we want is to put together a digital strategy and they go, hey, guess what? Your strategy didn't work. It really sucked. And I'm thinking, no, it's not that it was terrible. It's that you were so scattered all over the place and bleeding money in other areas that it didn't help your strategy be successful. Most of our clients also turn to us for scalability. They've had to grow. They say, okay, how do I grow now? So it's kind of a different approach. So I'm getting online. I'm trying to talk about these things on how to keep businesses growing and blah, blah, blah. And people just weren't interested. But if I got on Periscope going Halloween, on Halloween from door to door, trick-or-treating with my kids, I had 80 people jump on. So I'm like,
oh, wow.
So I'm like, wow, okay. Or if I'm walking in downtown Chicago, just leaving a brain trust, here I am, hey, check out Chicago, blah, blah, blah. Everybody was interested in that. But when it came to talking about business, I was just not getting a big following. Blab, I was getting it.
Yeah, but see, I think you just answered your own question, Franklin, really, actually, because I view Periscopes, you're right, I can see a little bit of that, because Periscope's a little bit of a monologue, as I call it. Is you talking, and you don't get that instantaneous feedback. You don't get to see my hand gestures. You don't get to see my facial gestures. You don't get to see really what's going on. Right. And so I agree with you. Blab for a serious business conversation is much better, right? I mean, Periscope, I think, like, say, if you're at the Colts game, right, and you're out front and you meet, let's say you met, I don't know, I'll just say, I'll just use Jay-Z or somebody you admire, or you just happen to be at the Colts game and you get to talk to him or something like that. You can say, I'm live here in front of the Colts Stadium. I mean, it's more of that impromptu kind of a thing, and it's more fun. It can be business, but I know a lot of social media influencers, like
Kim Garce.
A lady that I follow very closely. Her name is Kim Garce.
Yeah.
She's kind of self-proclaimed herself as the first lady of Periscope.
Right.
But she uses Periscope very effectively for her business, right?
Yes.
So I think it's a little bit of is training your audience, right, of what to expect from you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because you can't be on there 1 week talking Halloween and all that, and it's always, you can have a little fun, but I mean it's kind of that journey of training. It's almost kind of like your social media strategy. Your followers have to get to learn what to expect from you, and they love consistency, right? Because I think what some people do wrong is 1 week they want to talk about this, and next week they talk about something totally different. And you're kind of confusing people, because they're like,
That's
well, okay,
true.
what does this guy do, right? I mean, I'm not really sure what to he's expert in or what to really expect and things of that nature. But I think you answered it. Periscope is I've tried it and I've used it. I just found it is not as effective for me because I'm very much, I like to have relationships like we're having now. I want to see you. I want to really take time and understand you and get to know you. And I just find for me on Periscope, it's harder for me to do that. It just is. But I've seen others use it very effectively. It's just not my thing.
Right.
Well, can I, let me, if you don't mind, I guess jump in a little bit. I mean, I've been playing with the Periscope, which, you know, there's certain words I never thought I'd say in together. Like that phrase right there just sounded weird. But anyways, I know this guy, Grant Cardone, he posts every morning from his to work. And it's more like a pep talk. It's more like part of his thing and saying, hey, here's what we're doing. Here's, you know, but it's very, you know, kind of to echo your point, Thomas, is very consistent. You know, every morning around 7:30, 8 o'clock, somewhere in there when he's going to work, you know, he's talking about, you know, things of the day or whatnot. So, and he's got a little like rack or whatever, and it just sits there and he talks and drives. So I think, you know, if you're right, if you do that consistently. The other thing I was thinking about for even myself is posting to more LinkedIn as well. I mean, I know it's not video, but I mean, you know, that's, you know, if you're going after business clients, I mean, I've kind of segregated it in my brain where, you know, Facebook is more fun and play, social. It could be business, but you know, LinkedIn is more, you know, the 9-to-5 grind business, you know, because I never see anything fun there. Well, not never, but you know, I'm trying to say it.
But
and then
Bob,
social media is all over the place.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going. I'm sorry.
I was just saying, then like you got all the video platforms that are all over, you know, from cooking shows to, you know, business to everything, you know.
I guess what I'd ask you, and I think this is where you may be, you may have figured it out, but I detect that maybe you haven't figured out yet exactly where your audience is in these social media platforms, right? I threw out Instagram, Pinterest just because of what you do, but I think it's important to kind of figure it out and test. Is my audience on Instagram, right? Is my audience on Pinterest? Is it on LinkedIn? Because actually, when I think of LinkedIn, the community primarily, right? And HR people are on there quite a bit looking for people to hire. So, I mean, if you're attacking companies or businesses and that type of corporate executive, I think LinkedIn is a perfect platform for you if that's your avatar, right?
Yeah, I've got. I can tell you, I've identified, like, I've got 3 avatars that I'm looking for. Real estate professionals.
Okay.
You know, because we do a lot of real estate work. Business to business, so any kind of product.
Okay.
Because we do a lot of product photography. We do a lot of, you know, product videos and things of that nature, testimonials.
Okay.
And then the third one is artists and, you know, creative social medias, marketers, writers. Because I, you know, the other thing, this has been my little kick right now, if you will, for lack of a better term, but, you know, if you believe in the Bible says, my people perish for lack of vision. And the problem is myself included, for a while, I lost my vision. And I lost what I was focusing on. And I think that's the problem with all these different social media platforms. It's like drinking out of a fire hydrant through a straw.
Sure.
There's so much.
Right.
And you can easily lose your vision. And I mean, I have focused now and kind of gotten to the point where I know what I want to do when I grow up, if that ever comes, and focus on building my platform.
Yeah, it's funny you said that about the vision, man. Yesterday at the Brain Trust, we watched a very funny video about a guy called a Wantrepreneur, and how he basically really wasn't ready to start a business. Went out and got the LLC and the business cards, started throwing them all over the place, and really never went out there and sold. But I don't even know what that has to do with what I'm talking about. But right after that, I had an opportunity to sit down with a very successful marketer here and CEO of a very successful marketing company in Chicago. And he's kind of my mentor. And he emailed me afterwards and said, Frank, focus, focus, focus. And I was thinking, I said, you know what? Yeah, my business was getting a little bit too spread too thin, because we did a variety of things. We have a variety of skill sets, web development, SEO, digital marketing strategy. I like to call it online PR. But the real reason my business had started was because we were digital marketing business strategists. So we use digital marketing and incorporate that into all of your business processes to help your business become scalable. And I had actually lost sight of that. And he came back to me and said, that's a very unique skill set. There's not too many people out here that are able to go into a business and understand operations, finance, all of those little inner workings of a business and incorporate that into a return on investment or profitability for a company. And you need to stick with that. Funny enough, this person I sat down with had the same vision as well. And he stuck to it. He said he was the salmon in the stream, the vine in the shade when growing his business, because it was not what a marketing company was thought of doing, his approach. Now you look at it 8 years later and they're probably bringing in, they're still small, probably over 8 mil in revenue a year. Because, we can get into chasing the money, we lose sight of our vision or what we really needed to focus on. As far as social media platforms, I like what you said, Thomas, and finding what works for you. I think Blab works for me. I think Instagram works for me. I think LinkedIn works for me as far as connecting with that demographic or that type of business owner that I want to do business with.
Sure.
So I think those three have really become, now Twitter works for me in establishing myself as an authority in my space. I never would have been able to connect with people like Kim Garst or Jeff Bullis or Tamara McCleary or Ted Rubin. I never would have been able to connect with any of these social media thought leaders had it not been for Twitter.
Sure.
And I think that's very good when you're standing in front of an audience and you say, hey, look, I know what I'm doing because look who follows me. Look who's connected with me. Who's reading my content. So those are probably the ones that work for my business the most. So I really like what you said about finding a platform that works for you. Oh, wow, he dropped out. I'm not sure about Periscope as of yet, but hey, look, man, Bob, so what do you think about this? What do you think about this Blab that we're doing?
This is pretty interesting. I don't know how I sound. For whatever reason, my speaker, I can hear it through the computer, but I can't hear it through my ears. And this is actually my first Blab, so I've been just kind of monitoring and kind of watching. Yeah, so, welcome to the world premiere of Bob Lockwood
cool, man.
on the Franklin D. River show.
The FDR show. Yeah, so people, FDR, those actually are my initials. Franklin Delano Rivera II. Tell you a little bit of background. My grandmother named my father after Franklin D. Roosevelt. And he was so honored, he actually sent her a letter. So I don't know where the letter is now, but he did send her a letter saying, hey, I'm honored that you named your son after me. So I kind of gave it a little Spanish twist. Instead of Delano, I say Delano. My last name is Rivera. So, hey, look, cool. I don't want to beat a dead horse, man. We can go on with this Blab for a long time.
Yep.
But I'm going to get offline. I have an interview to do. I want to say that thank you for everybody. Thank you, Bob, for jumping on the FDR show, where we talk about what matters in growing your business. My name is Frank Rivera, founder, CEO of V2M2, Viral Visual Marketing and Management, digital marketing business strategist. That's what I do. Little plug for myself. I'm good at it.
Absolutely, he is. I'll agree with that.
Thanks, Bob.
I mean, I've worked with you on other projects, and you are awesome at what you do.
Thanks, man. Hey, thank you. Thanks a lot, Bob.
It's Friday.
Every Friday, man. Every Friday, everybody, be here for talk about what matters in growing your business. I'm so tired of all the shiny object. You know, I think of like that movie. What is it? Up? Squirrel.
Yep.
Squirrel. Everybody's chasing the blabs and talking about all the newest and latest and greatest. Hey, that's cool. It has its place. But let's talk about what matters: growing business, making your money, keeping yourself sustainable. All right, that's what we're here to talk about. Please give me suggestions. Let me know what you'd like to hear about. This is an open blab, all right? I'm not like blocking people out. I will interact with you. I hate blabs that don't interact with you. They come on, I'm the expert. I know what I'm talking about, so I'm just going to talk, and I'm not going to listen to a thing you say. No, that's not how I do it, all right? I want you people to interact with me, ask us questions. Bob, please join us next week. It'll be great to have you, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and I will. I've got it on my calendar for next week. Unfortunately, I can't make it the last Friday because that's when I get all my creatives together. So, if you are in the Aurora area, you know, come on down to the Two Brothers after this show, and we'll be there hanging out. So,
you gonna be at Two Brothers?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The last Friday of the month, we always meet there at the Two Brothers.
What time?
That is at 8:30. So right before your show. Maybe you can do it live from your
maybe I'll do it. I'll do a Periscope for 30 minutes before, and then I will hook up to the internet and we will do it. Oh, that'll be cool, man.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Because you can live stream because we're gonna have Robert Mackey. He's an award-winning music producer, and then Chris Ernst is a composer who's played for the President of the United States. Whether you like the president or don't like the president, I think it's pretty damn cool to just meet the president and play. I mean, I think it's awesome. So I always try to bring in great presenters. We got, of course, you're going to be presenting in February.
Yes, sir.
And we've got another guy that's going to be presenting about 3D printing. This technology has just exploded. We've got Jim Cordy, the director of the Paramount. He's going to be on stage presenting.
That's a big theater down here where we live, the Paramount. You might not know. Big theater, man. I mean, I don't know if you like Johnny and Marie, but they are coming.
Yep.
We've gotten some big names there. So
Jay Leno's been there.
Jay Leno.
You know, I mean, it's a cool place. I mean, you know, Aurora is really rebranding itself as a place for creatives.
Earth, Wind, and Fire was here.
What?
Hall & Oates, Earth, Wind, and Fire. They all came to Aurora.
Oh yeah, I mean, everybody comes to Aurora. They've got to. It's the second largest city in Illinois. You know, so so that's what we're working on. Then we do the second Tuesday of the month now for the evening edition. So we just secured a couple more places to come visit as well.
Cool, man. Well, as you can see, we are going to have some great people on. This is going to become the show on Blab for business growth. You know, we don't sugarcoat things. I'm not pretending to be, super rich, successful, know-it-all. So I give you the real deal, the struggles, the ups and downs, and I share with you anything that I learned from my mentors right here in this show. Our job is to help you be successful. So like I said, no shiny objects on the FDR show, no BS, none of that stuff. So we're real here. We're going to help you grow. That is my commitment to you. We're going to get some of the best people on here. If you'd like to be a guest, hit me up, DM me on Twitter, DM Bob. I think Bob's going to become a regular on here.
All right.
Let me know about any type of issues or things that you'd like to hear. There's my website. Join my newsletter. Follow our online publication. See if you want to be a contributor, franklindrivera.org. It's our online publication called Viral Visual Marketing. One place for all your relevant news. Really nice. So, hey, I'm an open book. Yeah, Bob should be my co-host. We're gonna have like 3 co-hosts here.
Yeah, that would be kind of. It's like the. I mean, if it's all males, it could be like the male version of The View. You could call it The Insiders.
The Insiders?
I don't know.
Oh man.
Scary, I just watched all the women listeners just left. Sorry. Oh, I was kidding. It's a joke.
One thing you'll get to know about Bob, I think we do need Bob to lighten things up a bit. My jokes don't get laughed at that much, but
I mean,
I try.
I try not to be offensive, but you know, what are you gonna do?
Hey, I'm glad. I'm grateful to everybody that jumped in. Hey, thank you, Charlotte, Social 360. Your presence was very much appreciated. I've met so many great people here on Blab, so many people I never would have dreamed of meeting, interacting with. This is a great platform. Let's use it for something to better our lives, better our businesses, better each other. Hey, everybody, thanks a lot. Follow Bob, follow me, follow Charlotte, Social 360. I got to get out of here. We'll be back 9 a.m. Central, same bat time, same bat channel next week. Okay?
Yep.
God
Take
bless
care.
everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.